Welcome to Willow's World of DIY. I'm Willow.
And I'm the machine. Today we're going to show you how to replace this sliding glass door. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it.
I start off by removing the window blind and all the trim around the old sliding glass door. And then I start removing all the nails and screws that are in the frame of the old sliding glass door. And then I remove the sliding portion of the glass door. I took apart the fixed pane of glass just to be able to remove it without breaking it. And now I can remove all the nails and screws that were behind the fixed pane of glass, and all the screws going through the base plate. When we get all the old nails and screws out, we can remove the old sliding glass door frame.
Okay, so we end up running into some rot. As you guys can see, that's all rotted out. Pan up here. It's pretty rotted as well. My knife should not stick in like that. It should be like this. So we're gonna have to go ahead and replace this header and replace this jack stud while we're here. Hole with concrete. I don't know why there's a hole there, but obviously that's why water would leak underneath the door.
So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this hole up with some mortar. Now we can remove this old wood paneling so that I can expose the framing of the house so I can see how bad this rot is. And remove all this styrofoam insulation. Now I'm just cutting up the lumber to build a new header.
Okay, so whoever installed this header did not install a proper header on this door. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to make a proper header for it. Alright, so these are 2x8s, and I already cut them to our dimensions to fit. I'm using Liquid Nails heavy duty adhesive. And we're just gonna spread this on it. And this is a piece of 1/2-inch plywood that I cut to size already. And we're gonna put our other 2x8 on top. Make sure there's no debris in the way. Alright, now I'm just gonna screw some 3-inch deck screws into it. And we're going to flip it over and put some screws from the other side. Alright, that should be good.
And now we can start tearing out the old rotted out jack studs. The jack stud on this side had signs of rot as well, so I decided to replace it also. And now we can remove this old routed out 2x4 that they used as a header. And you can clearly see that this roof has sagged because they didn't have a proper header installed. I cut off any nails or screws that will get in the way of installing the new header. And now we can install the new header. We're using a jack to jack this header up to level out the ceiling and get this header into proper placement. And once I have the header where I want it, I can start driving some screws into it. And now we can install our new jack studs. And then I measured to make sure that our sliding glass door will fit within this frame. And I use a level to make sure everything is straight and square. And then I cut some spacer blocks to fill in our gaps. I'm using 4.5-inch exterior screws to drive the screws all the way through these spacer blocks into the 4x4 posts. Alright, I'm just using some zip liquid flash to flash down I'm using Hardy Backer, and I'm gonna flash that down to here. And I'm going to do flashing all the way around, so it's all nice and sealed up. Let's get to it. And I put 3 beads just to have a nice, a good seal, so there's going to be good coverage of the flash down below once we squeeze this all in. Alright, and I'm just using Hardy Backer because I know it won't rot. I've used this in quite a few shower remodels that I've done. I've had pieces of this in my truck for over 5 years during winter storms, rainstorms, all of it, and it doesn't rot, it doesn't deteriorate. So that's why we're using it. And now I'm removing the exterior siding and sheathing so we can get the new door in. And once the door is inside the frame, you want to check and make sure that it's nice and level. And then you can start putting some screws in from the outside. This is just a test fit, so we only put a couple screws in because we ran out of Zip's liquid flash, so we had to order a couple more tubes so I could flash this whole opening. And here I'm adjusting down the rollers so the bottom of the door won't drag. We got our tubes of zip liquid flash, so we're gonna go ahead and flash this whole inside opening on both the jack studs and up on the header. And I flashed the entire exterior surface of this header. And the exterior surfaces on the jack studs as well. And then I run a bead of liquid flash on the bottom plate and on this right side seal, because I'm lacing this underneath the sheathing to get it in, because I didn't remove the sheathing on that side. And once the door's in place, I use 2-inch exterior screws to fasten it into all of our framing. And then I use zip liquid flash to flash over all the screws and seams of the door frame. Now I'm going to use a framing square against the sliding glass door to align up our locking plate. And I installed 2 screws in the center of the adjustable slots so that we know we can adjust it to get it in place. And then once I have it set and in place, I screw in the other 2 screws in the fixed slots. And here you can see that I flashed that whole exterior surface of the header. And now we can install some new exterior sheathing. I'm just using this black board because that's what the building was built with originally. So I'm just matching the materials. And now we can start installing our new siding pieces. I'm not too worried about the way this siding is looking. We already have plans here in the future to replace all this siding and redo all the windows in this room. And I measure the pieces on the right hand side of the window just to make my pieces on the left side match. And now I'm using some window and door open cell spray foam just to fill in all of our gaps along the header, in between the actual sliding glass door in the frame, the header, and then in between the new jack studs and our outside sheathing. And here's a closer look at it. And now I'm installing some R13 fiberglass insulation into all of our open cavities. And now we can start putting all of our wood paneling back up. And I'm just driving a bunch of finishing nails all through this paneling to hold it back in place. And I'm not too worried about what all this paneling looks like. We have plans in the future to redo the windows, and I'm gonna re-sheetrock the whole inside of this addition. Now I'm using some exterior silicone